But now to the war. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is vowing to invade Rafah with or without a ceasefire deal. Hamas officials left Cairo following a round of peace talks. Israel's latest proposal includes a ceasefire along with a hostage release and a prisoner exchange. CBS News foreign correspondent Debora Patta is with us from East Jerusalem. Debora, it's so great to see you. So Israeli officials say they will give Hamas until Wednesday night to respond to their latest proposal. How's the growing pressure, both in Israel and internationally, impacting how Netanyahu is navigating the war?
Well, Lilia, Benjamin Netanyahu is a man under extreme pressure. He is getting it from all sides. Very vocal protests abroad, even louder and angrier protests here at home. And the heat really is being turned up. There are daily demonstrations. Israelis demanding he bring the hostages home, whatever the cost. But the hardline right-wing faction of his ruling coalition is saying that if Netanyahu does not invade Rafah and negotiates that deal with Hamas, his job will be on the line. One of those is Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, who said today, get into Rafah immediately, don't wave a white flag, don't let Sinwar humiliate us again, referring to the leader of Hamas in Gaza. Now, Netanyahu came to power by joining forces with this faction. If they pull out, his government collapses. We know there's a deal on the table. According to mediators, it's currently being led by the Egyptians, but reports suggest that Israel may have softened its approach, at least on the number of hostages. But it's a very delicate balancing act, and also listening to Netanyahu will be Hamas, and telegraphing what he is saying, his threat to continue going into Rafah, and that could impact it.
It's so interesting, Debora, because it seemed at first yesterday from the reporting and your reporting there that he was making some concessions, reducing the number of hostages, easing the possibility of a ceasefire. Now he's talking about invading Rafah. So, I mean, what does it look like? How could that ground offensive, how soon could it happen? And what do you think, the U.S. and others trying to stop it can do to have an impact on his decision?
Well, let's remember, Lily, Netanyahu has been banging that war drum for over 2 months now, threatening to go into Rafah. Is it an empty threat to appease the right wing? Or will it happen? Is it just to string them along? But how long can you string people along for? Nobody else wants that invasion. The U.S. is against it, as you correctly point out. The G7 said it would have catastrophic consequences for civilian sheltering here. Remember, those over 1.4 million Palestinians who sought refuge. The families of the hostages want their loved ones out, and that requires a ceasefire. And most of all, let's not forget, the people of Gaza. They don't want a Rafah invasion. They already live in misery and hell every single day. More women and children are dying, and famine still looms. Everyone is sick to death of war. Now, whether that's going to take place soon or not, it doesn't seem likely that it's going to happen immediately. And certainly the U.S. has been pushing for details of some kind of plan. There has to be a credible plan to evacuate civilians. It doesn't appear that there's anything like that at the moment. But, this is Israel, and Netanyahu is an intransigent ally and frequently goes it alone. Lilia?
Debora Patta, thank you so much. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Jordan today pushing for that ceasefire we were just discussing and more aid to go into Gaza. He met with Jordan's King Abdullah this morning and is speaking with officials throughout the Middle East this entire week. It's his 7th visit to the region since the Israel-Hamas war began.
But more still needs to be done. And in particular, we have to make sure that our focus is not only on inputs, but on impact, and really measuring whether the aid that people need is actually getting to them in an effective way. And there we have some ongoing challenges.
CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gazis is following this trip from the State Department. Olivia, great to have you. So as we were just discussing, the U.S. has repeatedly warned Israel against invading Rafah. But as we just said, Benjamin Netanyahu is now doubling down on that threat. First of all, what does it say about the Israel-U.S. relationship that Netanyahu is defying these warnings from the U.S. At a time when Blinken is there in the region.
Absolutely, Leah. Well, to describe the U.S.'s relationship with Prime Minister Netanyahu as complicated right now is absolutely an understatement. I think that the sense from U.S. officials that we've heard here is that this level and this kind of rhetoric from Netanyahu is a political necessity at this moment in order to assuage the far-right elements of his government who have threatened to collapse the government if he, in fact, doesn't go into Rafah. That's why you have heard him at various points since February, when Rafah first arose as a potential issue, say that there's a date set, that one is imminent today, that they'll go in whether or not there is a hostage or ceasefire deal. But as you heard Deborah say, there are also some indications of some level of preparation, including a tent compound in southern Gaza in Khan Yunis that has so far been unexplained. But throughout this time, U.S. officials have stridently said that they have neither seen a credible military nor humanitarian plan. Secretary Blinken, who is in Jordan, just spoke to that today. He said that the U.S. views on this are well known. He did not say whether he had gotten any commitments from the Israeli government to present a plan before going in. He's, of course, heading to Israel tomorrow for face-to-face meetings, including with the Prime Minister, where he'll expect to get an update on all of this.
Wow. Thank you so much, Olivia.
Thanks, Lilia.